Hello again. We'll be continuing our full flight series, and today we're in an A320 simulator. We'll be doing everything from cold and dark to startup, takeoff, departure, arrival and landing from Brussels International to Frankfurt International. And we'll be doing the communication with the ground and also with the ATC. So I hope you enjoy it, and let's begin. Alright, so we start with the cold and dark aircraft. Everything is off. We start by checking engine switches 1 and 2 off and mode to normal. Then we move to the overhead. Check that the wipers are off, and then battery check. It is sufficient for operation, 27.7 and 28.1. So it's enough. We turn on the battery, external power to on. Then before starting the APU, perform the APU test, the fire test. Looks okay. And then we can start the APU. So master switch on. And then start. On the lower ECAM, here, we can see the sequence. Flap is open and is rising, starting to rotate, and ignition. And APU is almost started. Then we turn on the remaining lights on the cockpit. Here, the overhead and the floodlight. Brightness. Everything is on. Then we go back to overhead. The APU is now available. So we turn on the APU bleed to provide air conditioning to the passengers. We checked the conditioning panel. We have 100 passengers today, so we turn tax to low. And the temperature is auto. Then we check the brakes. The brakes are on the pedestal in the lower half. We check the pressure. It should be in the green range, so looks alright. We check the lower ECAM for first for oil quantity, so 20 and 20 full. That's good. Then hydraulic quantity in the green range. Green, blue, and yellow systems all in the green range. And then for oxygen pressure, we go to the doors and we can see oxygen 1850 psi. That's also in the normal range and is okay. So this is all checked. Then we go and check emergency equipment in the cabin. So we have it all here. It's checked, and gear pins and covers are also checked. And now I'm going to perform the external walk around, and my colleague will continue with the setup.
While my colleague is outside the plane, I will continue with overhead. First of all, we need to distinguish all the white lights by pressing them. Then we go to recorder. We'll switch on the ground control for it and then perform a test. 1, 2, 1, 2. Test is okay. We need to erase and put it back to auto. Next, check the evacuation for a captain. It is in captain position. Then we will switch the ADRS to nav. Then go to external lights. Switch on the nav lights, which means that crew is inside the cockpit and working. Switch on the signs for the seat belts and no smoking. Then check the landing elevation that it is in auto. Check that pack flow is set to low. Check the batteries that they are more than 28. and showing us 0 amperage, which means that battery are fully charged. Then go to engine fire test, engine number 1 test. We have the sound, it's okay. And engine number 2 test. Everything is okay. Then checking that audio switching is in normal. Then we need to check the radio panel for a third occupant. It should be on. And public advisory should be in receipt. Now we go to central instrument panel, check the standby instruments for indications. Check the clock, that the time is correct one, and switch on the anti-skid and nose wheel steering. Now we move to the pedestal. Switch on the ACP panel, VHF 1, VHF 2 to receipt, and intercom and cabin also for receipt. Check the weather radar, it should be off now. Then check the switching panel, they all must be in normal position. Then we need to check the status panel on the ecam. Then check that landing elevation is in auto. Then go to thrust levers, they should be at idle. Check that engine masters are off and engine mode selector is normally. Check the parking brake is on and pressure is okay. Check that gravity gear extension lever is stowed. Switch on the second audio control panel. Do the same checks as we did before and check the TCAS in standby. Now we continue with FMGS. Check that data here is correct. Go to init page. Put here our flight plan. So I put the code for Brussels and Frankfurt. IRS is aligned already. Set the flight number. For us it will be BA320, coast index is 10, and cruise altitude for us will be flight level 230. Okay. So we finished with init page. Let's go to the flight plan page. When we see our departure and destination, go to the let's select the departure. We will depart from runway 07 right using the SID SPI to Juliet. It is set. Now we can insert it in our flight plan. So we need to check the all points here. They are okay. And now from SPI we will fly via airway uniform Tango 180 to point Pesov, Papa Echo Sierra Oscar Victor. Okay, it is here. We can insert. Then from Pesov we will use airway Tango 180 to point Unoko. Okay, it is inside. And now we need to choose arrival to Frankfurt. We estimating arrival to runway 07 right. Using a star, Unoko 1 mic. Insert. Then we need to check that all points are inside and enter it correctly. And then goes to RAD-nav page, checking that the plane automatically set the 2 VORs which we need for our departure. Let's go back to init page, and it's time to enter our zero fuel weight and zero fuel weight center of gravity. From our load sheet we know that zero fuel weight is 52.4, and this is our CG for now. And the block fuel is 5.4 tons. Let's set the takeoff data. We will use flaps 2 for departure. We use 40 degrees for flex to temp, and entering V1 130, we rotate around 132 and V2 around 140.
Alright, I'm back from the walk around and the cockpit is almost set up. We just have the glare shield left, so we put on the lights and set each side separately. So we have the barrow for today is 9er, 9er, 8 and the maps. Alright, we set the glare shield and the altitude, the initial altitude. We'll check with the ATC of course, but according to the chart it should be flight level 60. We'll contact the ATC soon and get the clearance. They will tell us maybe different altitude. We'll see. We performed the oxygen mask test. It's okay. And we checked the fuel quantity. Again, 5.4 almost fuel on board, 1,600 used and 1,000, yeah, so fuel is good. And then the takeoff briefing. So we'll contact the ATC for the clearance and then perform the takeoff briefing. We'll confirm the runway and the initial flight level and then continue with the briefing. Brussels ground, Baltic Aviation 320, requesting IFR clearance to Frankfurt, information kilo.
Baltic Aviation 320, Brussels ground, you are cleared to Frankfurt Airport via flight plan route, Sierra Papa India 2 Juliet departure, initial climb flight level 60, QNH 9er 9er 8, squawk 3521.
Could it be a flight plan route? Sierra Papa India 2 Juliet departure, initial flight level 60, QNH 9er 9er 8 and squawk 3521. Baltic Aviation 320, thank you.
Baltic 320, read that correct. Contact ground on 118.05.
Contact ground on 118.05. Baltic Aviation 320, bye. Okay.
Okay, now we can start with the takeoff briefing. Now we are at stand 217 left. We will taxi via outer 9, then Zulu, then holding point runway 07 right. We will do a normal takeoff. In case of some failure before V1, Captain will apply full reverse and full brakes. In case something after V1, we will try to stay in the air. And then we will do Sierra Papa India to Juliet departure. And finishing at Sierra Papa India VOR. Basically that's all. Any questions?
No questions?
So we can continue.
Okay, takeoff briefing completed. Okay, we can start with the ground and push back and then start it.